Welcome to the Power Summary edition of Books to Awaken Your Soul. This is a 30-minute summary of Discovery of the Presence of God, published by David Hawkins in 2007. Chapter 1, Devotional Non-Duality, A Foundation of Surrender and Alignment. The first chapter sets the stage for the entire book, introducing the core concept of devotional non-duality as the guiding principle on the path to enlightenment. It emphasizes the crucial role of devotion, not merely as an emotional sentiment, but as a complete way of life. The chapter clarifies that true devotion involves surrendering the ego's self-serving desires and aligning oneself with the inherent qualities of divinity, truth, love, compassion, wisdom, and non-partiality. This alignment transforms everyday actions into acts of worship, imbuing them with a sacredness that transcends mundane routine. Peeling potatoes, for example, ceases to be a chore and becomes an expression of love when done with a devotional mindset. Hawkins delves into the limitations of traditional religious interpretations, highlighting how the ego-mind anthropomorphizes divinity, attributing human-like emotions and biases to the divine. He contrasts this with the concept of non-duality, which transcends specific forms, divisions, and limitations, recognizing divinity as an all-encompassing, omnipresent reality. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the need for humility and surrender to fully embrace non-duality. It encourages letting go of the illusion of knowing and instead embracing a state of not knowing to allow the realization of divinity to unfold organically. Chapter 2. The Inner Path Beyond Religious Observance. This chapter delves deeper into the distinction between the inner path of non-duality and traditional religious observance. It begins by acknowledging the universality of faith, highlighting that all humans place their faith in something, be it material possessions, relationships, or a higher power. Hawkins explores the historical evolution of religious and philosophical thought, tracing the emergence of the world's great religions and their impact on civilization. He emphasizes the core spiritual truths within each tradition, such as love and forgiveness in Christianity, compassion in Buddhism, and living by sacred law in Judaism. The chapter then contrasts the emphasis on external observances and doctrines in traditional religion with the inner path's focus on personal, experiential realization of truth. It underscores the importance of introspection, self-inquiry, and the direct experience of divinity as immanent, present within us, rather than solely transcendent and distant. The chapter addresses potential concerns about the inner path, such as its perceived difficulty and potential disruption to daily life. Hawkins assures readers that the journey is ultimately one of self-discovery and fulfillment, leading to greater happiness and a deeper understanding of life's meaning and purpose. Chapter 3, Orientation, Cultivating the Right Mindset for the Journey. Chapter 3 delves into the practical aspects of embarking on the inner path, highlighting the importance of cultivating the right mindset and orientation. It emphasizes the shift from acquiring knowledge to letting go of limiting beliefs and surrendering control to a higher power. This process, Hawkins explains, is akin to allowing rather than getting like floating effortlessly in water instead of struggling against the current. The chapter explores the power of positive attitudes like humility, kindness, and respect for all life. These attitudes, when coupled with intention and commitment, become potent tools for spiritual evolution. Furthermore, the chapter differentiates between the ego-driven willpower and the surrender to the spiritual will, a force that aligns with divine wisdom and transcends the limitations of personal desires. Hawkins introduces the concept of focus, emphasizing the shift from the ego's focus on specific details and content to the spirit's focus on the overall context and field of awareness. He explains how this shift in focus allows for a more expansive understanding of reality and the ability to witness the unfolding of life with detachment and equanimity. Chapter 4, Spiritual Practices, A Diverse Landscape of Tools and Techniques. This chapter explores the vast array of spiritual practices across different cultures and religions, acknowledging the multitude of paths that can lead to spiritual growth. Hawkins examines practices such as prayer, worship, meditation, yoga, chanting, and various rituals, highlighting the importance of intention and alignment with truth, rather than merely adhering to external forms. He delves into the concept of divinity as both transcendent and immanent, present within all of creation. He explores the significance of the natural law doctrine, which affirms humanity's innate capacity to recognize God as creator, highlighting its universality across cultures and belief systems. The chapter delves into specific practices like meditation, discussing various techniques and traditions, including those from Hinduism, Buddhism, Sufism, and Christian mysticism. Hawkins emphasizes the importance of transcending identification with the body and mind during meditation to realize the self as the source of awareness and existence. He clarifies the distinction between genuine mystical states and artificially induced altered states of consciousness, cautioning against practices that rely on rhythmic repetition or external stimuli to create a temporary sense of transcendence. True enlightenment, Hawkins explains, is not a fleeting experience but a permanent shift in consciousness marked by peace, joy, and an unwavering realization of the self. By exploring the foundational principles of devotional non-duality and the practical aspects of embarking on the inner path, these chapters provide valuable guidance and insights for anyone seeking to deepen their spiritual understanding and embark on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Chapter 5: Clarifications Discerning Truth, Avoiding Pitfalls, and Embracing Transformation. Chapter 5 delves deeper into the process of spiritual discernment, providing crucial clarifications to navigate the path effectively and avoid common pitfalls. Hawkins emphasizes the need to verify the authenticity of teachings and spiritual paths, particularly in today's world where skepticism and doubt prevail. He encourages seekers to utilize various tools for discernment, including historical records, the impact of teachings on the world, and the technique of consciousness calibration. This latter method allows for objective assessment of the level of truth in teachings, offering a valuable resource for distinguishing genuine spiritual guidance from misleading or erroneous information. Hawkins cautions against the allure of the astral circus, the realm of paranormal phenomena and supernatural entities, often mistaken for spiritual enlightenment. He stresses the importance of avoiding practices that involve manipulating energies or seeking contact with otherworldly beings, as these diversions can hinder true spiritual progress. The chapter also addresses the concept of mixing levels of truth and abstraction. Hawkins explains how different levels of consciousness have their own corresponding realities, and that attempting to apply truths from a higher level to a lower level can lead to confusion and misinterpretation. He emphasizes the importance of staying true to one's current level of development and progressing gradually along the path. Chapter 6: The Experiencer Deconstructing the Illusion of the Separate Self. This chapter explores the experiencer, the processing function of the ego mind that seeks pleasure and survival through gain, and how it creates the illusion of a separate self. Hawkins explains that this function, while essential for survival in the animal kingdom, becomes a major obstacle on the spiritual path as it reinforces the sense of individuality and separation from the divine. He delves into the evolutionary origins of the experiencer, tracing its development from primitive life forms that needed to seek and acquire energy for survival. This primal need to get and control becomes deeply ingrained in the ego, leading to identification with thoughts, feelings, possessions, and experiences as mine, and thus constituting the self. Hawkins explains how the influx of spiritual energy, known as Kundalini, can transform brain function and facilitate the transcendence of the experiencer. This transformative energy activates higher spiritual centers and allows for a shift from egocentricity to a more expansive awareness of reality. The chapter includes a chart illustrating the physiological changes in the brain associated with spiritual evolution, highlighting the shift from stress and negativity to peace and well-being. Chapter 7: The Razor's Edge, Mastering the Art of Present Moment Awareness. Chapter 7 delves into the concept of staying on the crest of the wave, maintaining present moment awareness without clinging to the past or anticipating the future. Hawkins compares this to balancing on a razor's edge, requiring constant vigilance and surrender of the ego's desire to control or manipulate experience. He explains that the experiencer is constantly seeking to extract pleasure or avoid pain from every experience, focusing on either the front or back of the wave of experience. To transcend this tendency, one must remain focused on the crest of the wave, the present moment, without judgment or attachment. Hawkins elaborates on the practice of surrendering thoughts and feelings as they arise, refusing to engage with their content, and instead focusing on the silent field of awareness from which they emerge. This practice allows the mind to become still and reveals the underlying reality of the self, which is free from the limitations of thought and form. Chapter 8, Allness versus Nothingness, Recognizing the True Nature of Reality. This chapter addresses the potential pitfall of mistaking the void for the ultimate reality, a misconception that can arise when following the path of negation. Hawkins clarifies the distinction between the void, which is characterized by emptiness and the absence of love, and the true nature of reality, which is all-encompassing, filled with infinite love, and expressed as the radiant essence of creation. He describes his personal experience of encountering the void during intense meditation, mistaking it for enlightenment due to its stillness and lack of thought. However, upon realizing the absence of the profound love he had previously experienced as a youth, he understood the limitations of the void and the importance of recognizing love as the defining characteristic of divinity. The chapter emphasizes the need to move beyond the duality of existence and non-existence, allness and nothingness. It encourages seekers to embrace the affirmative path, recognizing the inherent perfection and beauty of all creation as an expression of divine love. Hawkins reminds readers that the fear of non-existence is ultimately an illusion of the ego, and that surrendering to the self reveals the boundless reality of existence itself. These chapters guide the reader through essential clarifications and potential challenges on the path to enlightenment. By deconstructing the ego and its illusions, embracing present moment awareness, and recognizing the true nature of reality as allness and love, the seeker progresses towards the ultimate realization of the self and the presence of God. Chapter 9, Dialogues, Exploring Deeper Meanings Through Inquiry and Analogy. Chapter 9 shifts the format to a dialogue, providing a more interactive and engaging exploration of the concepts presented in previous chapters. This format allows for a deeper understanding of subtle nuances and addresses common questions and challenges faced by spiritual seekers. The chapter explores the purpose of spiritual writing, emphasizing the importance of providing clear, verifiable information that is practically useful for those on the path. Hawkins acknowledges the limitations of traditional spiritual texts, often obscured by cultural context and archaic language. He emphasizes the need for modern explanations and clarifications that resonate with contemporary seekers. The dialogue addresses the question of who or what is the source of spiritual teachings and writings. Hawkins clarifies that the true teacher is the self within, the presence of divinity that transcends individual personality and speaks through the mind as an instrument. He uses the analogy of a cat to illustrate this point, emphasizing that the cat's true identity is not defined by the label cat, but by its own inherent existence and awareness. The chapter further explores the distinction between experiencing and awareness, highlighting how the former is a function of the ego mind, while the latter is a quality of consciousness itself. It explains how, at lower levels of consciousness, beings experience life but lack the awareness of their own existence, while at higher levels, awareness emerges alongside the realization of the value and significance of being. Chapter 10, Spirituality and the World, Finding Meaning and Purpose in Everyday Life. This chapter delves into the relationship between spirituality and the world, offering guidance on navigating the challenges and opportunities presented by everyday life. Hawkins emphasizes that while inner spiritual work is crucial, it does not necessitate withdrawing from the world entirely. Instead, he encourages recontextualizing worldly experiences as opportunities for growth and learning. The chapter explores the concepts of asceticism and renunciation, traditionally associated with withdrawing from worldly pleasures and attachments. Hawkins clarifies that true renunciation is an internal process of letting go of ego-driven desires and attachments rather than necessarily a physical withdrawal from the world. He addresses the question of how to respond to world events and suffering, emphasizing the importance of compassion and understanding rather than judgment and blame. Hawkins encourages readers to view the world as a school for enlightenment, offering valuable lessons and opportunities for karmic growth. He emphasizes the importance of focusing on personal spiritual evolution as the most effective way to contribute positively to the world. Chapter 11, Teachers and Teachings, Identifying Authenticity and Avoiding Deception. Chapter 11 provides a comprehensive guide to discerning the authenticity of spiritual teachers and teachings, offering valuable criteria to avoid deception and misleading information. Hawkins lists numerous characteristics of genuine spiritual truth and integrist teachers, emphasizing qualities such as universality, non-exclusivity, integrity, and freedom from control or manipulation. He includes extensive lists of calibrated levels for well-known spiritual teachers, scriptures, and writings, allowing readers to assess their level of truth and alignment with higher consciousness. This information empowers seekers to make informed choices about the paths they choose to follow and the teachers they choose to learn from. Hawkins cautions against the pitfalls of the spiritual ego, which can manifest as feelings of superiority, specialness, or a desire for recognition. He emphasizes the importance of humility and gratitude on the spiritual path, acknowledging the limitations of the ego and recognizing the divine source of all knowledge and wisdom. Chapter 12. The devotee embarking on a journey of transformation. This chapter explores the diverse paths that lead individuals to become spiritual devotees, highlighting the various motivations and experiences that spark a commitment to spiritual growth. Hawkins acknowledges the role of upbringing, cultural influences, and personal experiences in shaping one's spiritual journey. He describes the characteristics of the spiritual aspirant, emphasizing qualities like introspection, curiosity, and a yearning for deeper meaning and purpose in life. The chapter outlines the stages of the spiritual journey, from initial exploration and experimentation with different practices to a deepening commitment and eventual realization of the self. Hawkins emphasizes the importance of aligning with a valid spiritual pathway, encouraging seekers to carefully evaluate teachings and teachers based on the criteria outlined in Chapter 11. He assures readers that the journey of the devotee is ultimately one of transformation and fulfillment, leading to greater happiness, inner peace, and a deeper connection to the divine. These chapters provide valuable insights and guidance for navigating the complexities of the spiritual path. Through dialogue, exploration of worldly engagement, and a deeper understanding of the role of teachers and the journey of the devotee, the seeker gains clarity and confidence to progress towards the ultimate goal of enlightenment. Chapter 13. Transcending identification with the ego self, undoing the illusion of separateness. This chapter dives into the core of spiritual work, disentangling the self from the illusion of the ego and its identification with the body, mind, and emotions. Hawkins emphasizes that this process is essential for realizing the true nature of the self as the source of awareness and existence, independent of the limitations of the ego mind. He clarifies that the ego self is not the actual reality but a complex processing mechanism that evolved for survival purposes. It identifies with its various functions and qualities, thoughts, feelings, sensations, possessions, and experiences, and labels them as mine, creating a sense of separate identity. Hawkins encourages seekers to understand the evolutionary origins of the ego and to approach its limitations with compassion rather than judgment. He explains that the ego is essentially innocent, driven by primal instincts and programmed by societal conditioning. By recognizing its illusory nature, we can begin to detach from its influence and dissolve its hold on our perception of reality. The chapter explores various techniques for disassembling the ego's self-identification, including self-inquiry, meditation, and contemplation. Hawkins emphasizes the importance of shifting focus from the content of experience to the underlying field of awareness, recognizing that the true self is not the experiencer but the silent witness of all experience. Chapter 14. Enlightenment, the presence of self, unveiling the ultimate reality. Chapter 14 delves into the nature of enlightenment, clarifying that it is not an achievement or acquisition but a shift in consciousness where the ego self dissolves and is replaced by the presence of the self. This shift represents a fundamental transformation in the way we perceive and experience reality. Hawkins describes the stages leading up to enlightenment, emphasizing the progressive transcendence of limitations and the gradual dissolving of the ego's hold. He highlights the importance of surrendering attachments, desires, and fears, ultimately culminating in the willingness to surrender the very sense of self and the will to live. He shares his personal experience of this final surrender, describing the fear and terror that arose as he faced the prospect of annihilation. However, upon letting go of the illusion of the self, he encountered the overwhelming splendor and glory of the divine, a state of pure awareness and oneness with all of existence. Chapter 15: Progressive States of Consciousness, Navigating the Transitions and Challenges of Spiritual Growth. This final chapter addresses the various transitions and challenges experienced during spiritual evolution, offering guidance and reassurance for navigating periods of confusion, discomfort, and uncertainty. Hawkins emphasizes the importance of patience, faith, and surrender in allowing the process to unfold organically. He explains that the ego mind may resist change and cling to familiar patterns, leading to feelings of disorientation or fear. However, these experiences are temporary and ultimately serve as catalysts for growth and transformation. Hawkins encourages seekers to trust the process and to rely on spiritual practices such as meditation, contemplation, and prayer to navigate these transitions. The chapter further clarifies the distinction between the body and the self, emphasizing that identification with the physical body is another illusion of the ego. He explains that true identity resides in the formless, eternal self, which is the source of awareness and the witness of all experience. A comprehensive summary of teachings and concepts. Discovery of the Presence of God presents a profound exploration of the path to enlightenment through the lens of devotional non-duality. Hawkins masterfully combines his personal experiences with insightful teachings and practical guidance, offering a comprehensive roadmap for spiritual seekers. Key concepts and teachings include devotional non-duality, surrendering ego-driven desires and aligning oneself with the qualities of divinity, truth, love, compassion, wisdom, and non-partiality. The inner path, focusing on self-inquiry, introspection, and the realization of divinity as immanent within us, rather than solely transcendent. The ego self and its illusions, understanding the evolutionary origins and limitations of the ego, and how it creates the illusion of a separate self through identification with thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Transcending the experiencer, detaching from the ego's processing function that seeks pleasure and avoids pain, and shifting focus to the underlying field of awareness. The razor's edge of now, maintaining present moment awareness without clinging to the past or anticipating the future. The void and allness, differentiating between the emptiness of the void and the all-encompassing reality of divinity, characterized by love and the perfection of creation. Consciousness calibration, utilizing the technique of kinesiology to objectively assess the level of truth in teachings and spiritual states. Spiritual practices, engaging in various practices with the right intention and understanding, while avoiding pitfalls such as the astral circus and the pursuit of paranormal phenomena. Discernment and authenticity, identifying genuine spiritual teachings and teachers based on specific criteria such as universality, non-exclusivity, integrity, and freedom from control. The role of the teacher, recognizing that the true teacher is the self within, and that communication of spiritual truth transcends mere words. The journey of the devotee, understanding the various paths that lead to spiritual awakening and the stages of the spiritual journey. Renunciation and detachment, letting go of ego-driven desires and attachments, both internally and externally, while embracing the world as a school for enlightenment. Enlightenment as a shift in consciousness, realizing the self as the source of awareness and existence, free from the limitations of the ego self and its illusions. Navigating transitions and challenges, accepting the challenges and periods of discomfort that arise during spiritual evolution, and utilizing tools such as patience, faith, and surrender to navigate these transitions. The book concludes with a powerful message of hope and encouragement, affirming that the path to enlightenment is open to all who are willing to embark on the journey of self-discovery and surrender to the divine. By providing a clear understanding of the obstacles and opportunities along the way, Discovery of the Presence of God empowers seekers to overcome limitations, realize their true nature, and experience the boundless joy and peace of the self.